Oh
Yo,
no, Haribo.
Haribo. Welcome,
It's
welcome to Vrindavan. No, I'm just joking.
I
Welcome to St. John, New Brunswick.
was thinking, I know we've already got a theme tune, but I was just thinking like, yo, Haribo, it's the start of our show. It's been 7 days since the last episode. That was great. Good, wasn't it?
Yeah, it wasn't your best of work, but I'm into
Yeah.
it. I'm into whatever you put down, but sometimes I'm like, it's a lit sour, you know? Could you imagine someone describes like, yo, man, I wrote this awesome track. Yo, it's a bit sour. But in like, I don't know about you, but like, you know how like each generation and this sometimes goes region to region, has these ridiculous sayings that youth. I sound like an old man now, right? In my
The
head,
youth
I'm still
said
like
this.
16, you know, like I feel like
Yeah.
I'm still like, but I'm like the youth of these days, they'll put together. So in my day, slang was like, there was this really stupid one called arms. People would be like, yo, that's arms, which meant
What does
like it
that
was
mean?
lame or something. And I
Yeah.
even remember back then being like, guys, that's stupid. Like, there's a lot of stupid sayings, but that one is stupid.
Some slang makes sense, like, and some of them just don't. But we used to say arms, but it means more fighting. Like, what is it? Arms? Is it like? And I guess that makes
Oh,
sense. It's
that
kind of
that
like,
makes more sense. Yeah,
well,
yeah.
arms for swinging, but also, yeah, arms like weapons and stuff. Arms. Oh, it's arms. But they used to say arms house as well. What does that mean? Oh, it's arms house. Maybe I missed what that one meant. Yeah, random.
What is there any Krishna consciousness slang? Like, what's Krishna consciousness slang? Oh, I'll tell you what that so we're launching a t-shirt company. My wife's designed all these cool Krishna consciousness t-shirts. She's got 3 designs so far. One of Nirashima Dev, one that's just the mantra. Anyways, we're gonna be launching this store. We're really excited about it. And I told her, make a t-shirt that says, I don't sleep. I take rest.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't sleep. As a devotee, I don't sleep ever. I just take rest.
So it's not exactly slang, but it's just a certain way of saying things that no one else says. Apart from obviously there's certain Sanskrit things we say that no one knows what we're talking about. But it's stuff like that, or you don't say like, yeah, I'm going to the toilet. It's like, I'm going to pass water. Like, all right. I need to
And
pass
everyone
water.
knows you ain't passing water. That's mango and tamarind juice.
Yeah. Oh yeah, take rest is one as well. It's just stuff like that. Like, and it's just such a unique way it comes from, and I think it comes from Indian culture, speaking in
I think
English,
so.
and then we all talk. And if you notice, not only do we say those things, but we, not the little head thing, the classic Indian thing, but we kind of act like a bit like Indian
Oh
people
yeah,
who are talking English,
this
like
white
the way we
white guy.
talk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was doing it too. It's because you're around all these Indian folks, right? And then sometimes you just pick up their mannerisms or the way you start all of a sudden speaking broken English like Prabhupada did. And you're like, wait, I actually know how to say this.
Yeah. I noticed everyone communicates like that. It's so interesting.
Everybody's watching Prabhupada tapes for so much, right? Just those classic teachings and
Yeah,
his
yeah.
classes. The next thing you know, you're like, what do you call
Yeah.
pizza? I'm like, I know what pizza's called. I don't need to think about, I don't need to like translate it in my head. Oh, that's good stuff. Anyways, man, let's get into our intro. Let's rock and roll.
Yeah.
All right, let's do it. Temple opening.
Yo, DJ at the back of the temple. Yo, break it down now. Everybody pay obeisances. Get down. Yeah. And I'm about to do a Krishna rap.
Do it up, man.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare. Yeah.
Man, I can't wait to go to a temple where they got a DJ there and just like a bomb sound system with like a light show, fire. Like I like.
Pyrotechnic.
Yeah, when there's the story of Krishna when he puts out the fire, or I think he sucks it up with his mystical power, right?
Mm.
I wonder if we could somehow kind of create that in the temple where there's some pyrotechnics, like a fire comes, and then somehow it gets pulled into the deity.
No,
This is the most
we need
mystical temple ever.
we need some really good, because our dramas, like we need some more upmarket stuff, like some proper, because the most theaters, they have amazing stuff like that and put on dramas. Our dramas should be epic, man. Should be next level.
Yeah, well, I mean, if we were able to put on dramas like my guru Bhaktimarth Swami, he's pretty known for his dramas and such, and he's in my perspective, he's amazing because I've done a couple of his dramas of what he can do with amateur non-actors, limited budget, and you know what I mean, type of thing.
Yeah,
He can
yeah.
put out something really amazing. Now, put a budget behind that. Put a
Yeah, yeah.
puts the world-class sound system and get him into one of those massive theaters.
Well,
I think we could do some amazing
because
stuff.
Prabhupada said that, did he? I don't know if he said the West, but he definitely said the UK could be taken over with drama and theatre. That was one of the main points he made, and so we really need, our theatre and drama and music needs to be on point of the Kami ones. Sometimes, of course, all glories to the attempt to make something, anyway, but it should be on the level. To be honest with you, maybe some of those dramas were really good, and there are some, but a lot of the times the drama, I skip that, man, because it's always for me cringy, man. And it's only
Cheesy.
it's only funny in house, only if you're already a devotee. You go, oh, it's so and so, saying that, but it's to anyone else, it's not actually good. It's very amateur, very not very good, and we need to make stuff on the level. Even films, I mean, some of the new films out there from non-devotees are insanely well made, well written, so if we want to be really taken seriously in that world, our stuff needs to be compared, not oh, this is the best Hare Krishna film. It's no, it needs to be as good as the Marvel films or whatever,
Yeah, I agree, man.
Same with music.
Imagine having a Marvel styled that quality production and budget, multi-million dollar budget behind it, and we put on the most amazing, the Mahabharat. But that,
I mean, the story's there. This is the best story.
This is the best
and
epic. Yeah.
All the other films, they're looking for that kind of story, and this is the ultimate one. And no one's really. There's been films some made about them, but not a proper. I'm surprised actually that
I'm surprised Hollywood hasn't jumped on that.
Hasn't just picked up and made films out, because they make such epic films with actually great archetypal meanings and spiritual messages in some of those films. To be honest, there are some, and they love all that. So yeah, I'm quite surprised they haven't. It might be because it's a million verses.
Or I just think or maybe they're oh, it's a religious thing. But you know what? Even I'll tell you, the Christian community, they've done that. I've seen Christian concerts that were on par to any material concert ever, right?
Yeah.
Just the band, the production. So there's many in the Christian world. You see some of these mega churches and mega communities, Christian communities, they have full orchestras. They've got, I don't know if you're familiar with Joel Osteen.
No.
He's a famous Christian preacher in Texas. He's probably the number one preacher in the U.S. He's very positive. Actually, I got one of his books right here that I've been going through. It's called I Declare, 31 Promises to Speak Over Your Life. He's a best-selling author. Says his church, what's his church called again? I can't remember. It's in the U.S. Anyways, it is top notch. He just did some stuff with Kanye West. They sold out Madison Square Garden together, right?
Yeah.
And it's just top notch. The music, the singers, the production. They've got the multiple camera angles, everything going on. Top quality. His church grew so big that the church bought the big theater in Houston, Texas, where the basketball team went and built another theater, and they bought that theater. So they packing in his church every week, 20, 30,000 people come to see this guy preach every single week, right? Like mega church. And you could see, because everything is top notch. Like everything they put out, it's just on par to anything that anyone else is doing in the non-spiritual world. And I think that's still important, because, you know, it's like we could look at for instance, like, oh, let's say Hollywood, and Hollywood is, we know, is full of material consciousness. But what's good about it? I always like to look at what's good, right? I'm like, well, look at the talent, first of all. That's Krishna's talent. Yeah, they do it so well. They put in so much effort. They put in so much energy behind it. You know, they go to school. They make these things, just these amazing. And that's why people pay millions and millions of. That's why these movies make a movie can make over $100 million. It's because of what they put into it, and just how detailed it is. Man, if we saw some stuff,
it's very
like
good.
that,
Let's not lie.
Whew.
It would be, to be taken really seriously in that field, you have to make stuff that's on that level. And let's not deny that some of that stuff is really, really good. You know, that's why it's sometimes a difficult thing when we come to Krishna consciousness and we're told, or we feel like we shouldn't watch any movies or listen to any music. It's kind of hard when the stuff we've got is not as good. No, putting not kirtan, maybe, you know, because, you know, kirtan is kind of a different thing. But like, you know, we still do want to listen to other music and stuff like that sometimes. And then, you know, what do we have? You know. And movies as well, like what are we actually gonna watch? And then it is kind of confusing. Then you watch some like amazing Hollywood film and you're like, that was really good, and it's like you feel like, oh, I shouldn't think that, but the truth is the talent was amazing, as you say, the story was good, so yeah.
Well, and I think you can see it. Like, I remember going to a seminar, and it was a lady, you know, a brahmacharini, I guess, right? She was putting on the seminar. And she was talking about like when you're in the car and you're listening to the radio, like mainstream radio. So you hear a love song, right? And you know it's about sex or whatever, right? But how can you make that Krishna conscious? Well, you remember Krishna in it. Or like for me, like if I'm watching a movie, right? It's not to separate Krishna from anything. It's we that take Krishna out of Hollywood in a way. You know, it's we take it out. We're like, oh no, oh gosh. You know, somebody's not saying Krishna. It's like, no, but can't you see Krishna's talent? Didn't he say what? I don't know what verse it is, but I'm the ability in man. Well, when Sylvester Stallone is acting like, well, maybe he's not such a good ability there, but no, just like yeah. But like when you see these talented actors, that's Krishna's ability. When you see all the beautiful people in Hollywood, that's Krishna's beauty. So for me, like, I just watch the movie and as best as I can remember the source of all that talent and all that wealth. I'm like, you know how many millions of dollars went into this production? And it's like, right? It's the abundance of wealth. And one thing I do appreciate about Hollywood is how much they live in a very like creative zone. And so, of course, they're highly rich and abundant because creativity and abundance go hand in hand. People don't realize. People think, why does like, again, look at the early days of the movement too, and maybe some temples and stuff are rocking it like that. But the ones that have the most abundance are the ones who are serving the most. They're creating the most, right?
Yeah, expansive energy.
Yeah, they have an expansive energy. So of course, all Lakshmi comes and everything comes to support that, right? And that's what it's all about. It's that expansive energy. So I think there's a lot of, you know, all of Krishna's qualities are actually highlighted there. The only difference is that Hollywood takes Krishna out of it, right?
Yeah.
But you don't have to take Krishna out of it. You could see Krishna in all of that.
And actually, this might sound controversial, but I don't think they always take him out of it. Like, as you say, so, you know, his talent is there, but also anything we're attracted to is actually him. Sometimes actually for anything to really be interesting on like a deep level, it has some spiritual context there. It might not be very direct, but all these stories, they have great archetypal meanings, many of them. And to be honest, again, people might sound like, oh, he just likes watching movies, he's in Maya. But like, I get quite inspired spiritually by a lot of these kind of movies. Like, I can pick up the spiritual undertones in, you know, a well-written character, all the things they go through on their journey. I can become very inspired by characters in these like non-devotee films, and it feels like it helps my Krishna consciousness, because it's like, if it's well written, a written character, they, you know, they might not say Krishna in it and things like that, but that the journey of that person is often a spiritual journey. And
Think of like
I can be
Harry
very
Potter.
well, people like that because, well, apart from, yeah, the personal journey, of course, but also people like that kind of stuff because they like to think of other worlds. Like all this stuff is in Bhagavatam, you know, like
Yeah.
other worlds where there's magic and stuff like that. Like it's spiritual concepts we're attracted to in any of these things, you know. And that's because what the soul wants. So you can find inspiration in them. And I also think it's this thing, as you said, no one said Krishna, and that, like, we're also very almost scared to be in the world. Whereas, you know, if you watch a film, there might be some kissing or something, and people are like, you know, like sometimes when I hang around the temple, we'd watch The Matrix sometimes, because that's like an acceptable film, because it's like, it's supposed to be about like Maya, or it's written by these guys who studied the Vedas and stuff like that. But still, there's some parts where, you know, Neo and Trinity, and some of the boys were like, oh no, we can't watch this. And I get, you know, maybe brahmacharis being like that, but, you know, for us householders, real householders of Krishna consciousness, if you're going to be in the world, I don't think you can block your eyes from things like that. Like, watch a film, oh, someone's getting it on for like 10 seconds, or is that really going to fry you out? And now what, you're gonna, like,
does that mean you have to run to the washroom and jerk off now? Because if
what
it
I
is,
mean.
you
But
should join the Seaman Retention Army.
but that's what I'm saying, because no, but that's the point it seems to get to. Like, are we really renounced if the minute we see two people kissing, then it fires up all this sex desire? We should be able to consciously be around that. Like, that's what the Seaman Retention Army has helped me with. Like, I can just see that kind of thing and be like non-phased. It's like a choice now. It's like, oh yeah, that's kind of hot, or who cares? Like, but you know, before, when I was trying to, oh Prabhu, don't look at that, then if accidentally I did see in a film, it was like sparking off my desire because it was so pushed down. We should be able to see that and just carry on, you know, like, so what?
Yeah. You know what's so funny? One time I was with my guru, and it was so funny because I don't know what we were talking about, but we were talking about something, and he's like, "Well, let me see," or something like that. And I was kind of nervous because I'm like, "Oh, I was gonna show him this YouTube video or something, but it's gonna be swearing in it, right?" And I was like uncomfortable because I'm like, "Well, I probably really shouldn't be showing my guru like this like karmi video of some guy swearing off." But anyways, he watched it, and you know what's so interesting? His reaction, his non-reaction, like how like just was like, oh, okay. And then we talked about it, blah, blah. And he didn't make a big deal out of nothing, right? Like out of like, he just like let that go or whatever, you know? But it's so interesting, like how, like, that's why I really appreciate hanging out with him, because he's like very like transcendental in that way. Like he doesn't take it on, right?
Yeah.
Like, you know, okay, I'll give you a perfect example. So we were doing Harinam last time he came through here in St. John. We went and there's like this thing called King Square where people hang out, right? And we were doing Harinam, and it was just a few of us in the park, and we were just sitting on the bench, just chanting away. And then a bunch of kids came, like teenagers, right? And you know, they were like kind of making fun of us dancing, but like making fun of us dancing and that. But anyways, we just kept going. And then eventually another one came, and another one came, and it kind of was like making fun of us, but then it started turning fun.
Yeah.
Because like we didn't get offended or weren't like, oh, they're not they were just, Maharaj was actually encouraging them. He was like, oh yeah, go, go, go. One guy climbs up the pole, and he's like right up on the pole, and he's like humping the pole and everything. and he's like doing all this like you know, sexual dancing, and Maharaj just kept Hare Krishna, and we just kept going, and that was it. And then they were like, yeah. And then they left. And then they were like right behind us after. So when we were done, Maharaj goes to talk to them. And they're all like 14, 15, 16. Maharaj is literally standing right there. And he's talking to this kid. And this kid has a massive bong in his hand. And he's hitting the bong. So Maharaj is talking to him. And he's like, yeah. Sorry. And Maharaj didn't move nothing. Like he wasn't all like, you're in Maya Prabhu. You shouldn't. He didn't try to also tell him he shouldn't be doing it or nothing like that.
Yeah.
Why? Because he's just building a relationship with him, right?
Yeah, and a positive impression is most important to start a relationship, you know.
That's right. Yeah, so that's it. He wasn't like condemning. He wasn't doing nothing. He wasn't trying to give him some deep philosophy right off the hop about how you shouldn't smoke weed or blah blah blah. He wasn't trying to correct him, because I recognize, like, as a coach, I know you don't correct someone until they give you permission to.
Yeah.
Like when you hire me as a coach, I'm gonna correct you because that's the relationship, right? Like I'm
otherwise
gonna be like, okay, blah, blah, blah.
They'll get like such a bad impression if you just do that when you haven't asked you. That's like so inappropriate. They're not
totally
in the right rasa to do that.
Yeah, you just walk up to someone and start like giving them crap for like it. I was so inspired by it though, because I'm like, you see, like just how much love he has, right? Like where he's just like whatever, like because he's actually said to me after, the only thing he said was they've got a really good spirit. They've got the good spirit.
Yeah, he's seeing the good in it.
Yeah,
they're dancing in a Harinam, whether, you know, maybe it was weird dancing or whatever, they're still dancing in a Harinam, but you could see that in a negative way. Oh, they are disrespecting or whatever, but it's like, no, at least they are hearing the name, the holy names, and they are dancing. Like, that's good. And it also, I think, is a real testament to like his, you know, he's fixed in his practice, so it doesn't get phased by someone smoking a bong, you know. Of course, we shouldn't imitate, you know, Maharajas and gurus and stuff, but like it's neophyte when it's the other way, when it's like, oh, there's someone smoking, oh, there's some nudity, like, and of course if we're at that point where it freaks us out, we should be honest about that too. But we shouldn't put it onto others and expect, you know, that's why when sometimes it gets so rigid around temples and stuff, it seems like it's really advanced, but actually the attitude is neophyte. Like, for example, I at one point was going to LA, like some guys spotted me and they were taking me over to LA to do some music. And I was at the temple a lot at that time. I was even doing temple reception at that time, I think. And I was saying,
did you live in the temple?
No, I never lived there. I just stayed sometimes, but I never had a period of actually living there. That was it was never for me, to be honest. And I just accepted that, but just hung around a lot. So yeah, I was always trying to just, you do what Prabhupada said, like engage what you already do in Krishna service. I was already doing music, like, and I didn't want to stop doing that. So I just was trying to just, you know, cross it over straight away kind of thing. Anyway, so I got asked to go to LA, and I was telling some of the devotees, you know, in the temple, and I don't know, some of the attitude was just quite negative about it. Like, oh, Prabhu, be careful, you know, Los Angeles, and it's Hollywood and drugs and stuff like that. And I was just like, in my mind, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to serve Krishna. Like, literally, it's a good opportunity to do more music. Like that's all I was really thinking about. And then I went there, and yeah, to be honest, the guys I were with, they weren't devotees. They were like smoking weed. There's weed everywhere. Like LA smells like weed. Like, dude,
I walk down my neighborhood and I can't go 20 yards without like smelling it. You know what I mean?
It smells like weed, man. Which is funny because London smells like wee, which is urine. but LA smells like weed. Yeah, so they were like everywhere. The guys I was with, really cool guys, actually, like really spiritually inclined guys. We had some great talks. One guy's really Christian there and stuff like that. Yeah, and the guy had a Muslim background, like all these different things like that I was hanging out with. We had some great conversations. But yeah, some of them, you know, in the studio or whatever, just hanging out smoking weed. I wasn't tempted at all, but probably because that was never one of my things. Maybe if that was one of my vices, I might have been. But I wasn't. I was seriously just enjoying the time, and I was thinking, I'm like trying to serve Krishna here by being here. And then yeah, when I went back back to London to the temple, I was explaining, yeah, I was there, and they were like, what was it like there? Did they have drugs? And I was like, yeah, you know, they were smoking, and you know, I didn't do it. And they were like, oh, so proud of you, like people were like that, like really making a big deal of it. And I was just like, it literally was nothing, like no big deal to me. Like I didn't. So, but you know, so sometimes people assume like Krishna consciousness can only be in these parameters, like in the temple, and it seems like very advanced, like, but actually it's neophyte because Krishna is everywhere. Krishna consciousness can be anywhere. And what they're basically saying is, if I was there, I wouldn't be able to do it. If I was there, I'd fall down straight away. Like, so seemingly people seem really advanced, giving you all this, oh, Prabhu, these are the rules. but what they're sometimes really saying is, if I went out into the world, I would straight away take drugs. And it's like,
Yeah, I know what you mean,
that's
right? Like,
neophyte.
yes, it's really interesting because, like I said, um, I think one of the qualities of a Vaishnava is fearlessness. Now, of course, we should fear Maya a bit, like in the Christian
Oh yeah.
language, that's there too, fear of God, right? Like people hear that term often, like these big politicians will use it. I'm a fear of God. I'm
Yeah, yeah.
God fearing man, right?
Yeah,
and
yeah.
and it's not God that you fear, but it's his law, it's karma, right? It's like it's the laws
Yeah.
of nature is actually what it is that you should fear.
No, we
And then
shouldn't.
it's
Yeah,
not
sorry, go
even
on.
fear it, and then it starts like that maybe, because that it's like I use the example of a stop sign, right? Like, okay, why do we stop at a stop sign? I mean, if we were to be honest, most of us stop at a stop sign because we don't want to get a ticket. So the motivation is fear, right? It's like, well, I
Mm,
don't want to get punished. So therefore you obey, right? But then you're always kind of resentful of the stop sign. But then
mm,
as soon as you mature in your thinking or in your evolution, then the stop sign, you're like, well, I stop at a stop sign because it actually makes things flow
yeah.
easier and make sure I don't smack some kid when I'm in the middle of a residential. So
Mm,
then you appreciate the stop sign. And now you're no longer obeying from fear, but you're
yeah.
obeying from love. And that's
Yeah.
a different mood or different energy. And I think you find the real joy there, right? And so I think in our Krishna consciousness, it can start as fear, like fear of God, fear of the law, fear of karma. I don't want to pick up more karma. I don't want to have something negative happen. It still means you're at the center of your focus, but it's the
Yeah.
start. Then I think eventually somehow it has to transform into love of God, and love of God means you'll obey out of love, right? Not out of fear. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
No, I think we often talk about this. The rules are meant to support the essence. The primary is the bhakti, and the rules are to support that. So, but the problem is when the rules become ahead, then it's more just about the rules, and that can become, yeah,
Mhm.
obsessed with fear around them and stuff. And sometimes fear can help. You
Yeah,
should be scared of fire. Don't touch the fire, and then okay, and
that's
stuff
right.
like that. And I guess it's for each individual. Like, we should definitely take into account that we should also be scared of Maya. Like, so for me, that situation was okay, but there might be another situation where I would have to be really cautious and be like, yeah, I'm not going to put myself in that situation. But for me, that situation, I knew was fine because it outweighed it. Like, okay, the risks here to my consciousness, the opportunity outweighs it, like to preach. So I'm not gonna not go to LA with a potential like sign a record deal there, which I could do a lot more service, just because there might be like some like of a possibility of getting into Maya or my consciousness being affected. Preaching is most important. So of course it depends on the individual, but yeah, it's
I
just this
think that's where it
general
becomes
attitude.
individual. Yeah.
It's always
Yeah.
individual. You shouldn't just have this blanket attitude that Maya is this, and the temple is, there's no Maya at the temple, but outside there is. It's like we know there's Maya in both, like, and there's Krishna consciousness in both.
Yeah. Well, this whole material world is Maya, right? Like, so like I said, the whole thing, nothing is really pure in the material world because nothing is like really like everything is tainted, right? Even all of our
Yeah,
efforts are. So it's like, yeah, but I think, like you said, it comes down to maybe the individual. Like, for example, you talked about like weed isn't as a big vice for you. That's harder for me because I grew up
mm,
smoking dope, right? So for me, I might be like, nah, it's probably best I just stick around because the temptation will be great, right? But
yeah,
like I promise you, I could walk through a casino and I wouldn't drop a penny in that because gambling's never
yeah,
been my thing. I don't even like it. I've done it even when I wasn't a devotee, like when I had no idea about this stuff, right, or anything. I remember going to the casino and being like, this is stupid. Like, I don't like it. I'm wasting my money. And I've never agreed with just principally that. And like vegetarianism, for example, as an example, I was trying to go vegetarian before I became Krishna conscious, right? Like
yeah,
before and I knew what Krishna consciousness was. I was like, yeah, I think I don't want to like participate in killing animals, and I don't want to be part of that. So I'm going to go vegetarian. So for me, I could sit down around a bunch of meat eaters and I do it all the time. And boom, they're eating meat, and I don't.
Yeah.
And it's not a big deal for me. I'm not like, oh, yeah, go on, give me a piece of that chicken or something like that. Like, I don't. There's nothing there for me. I'm just
I
like,
have
whatever.
I have to say I've become stronger in that though. Like in the beginning, not like I was tempted, but it used to be conflicting. Like, oh, how can they eat the meat? Like, and just looking at it would be like, like you get, because you're just learning all this new knowledge. And but I think as we mature, we should be able to be around like people smoking bongs, people eating meat, just not
Yeah.
indulge in it, but be around them and still get on with our lives and our preaching. Is what's funny about it is saying like that everything else is Maya apart from this where I am is Maya. Like when we say that, like
Right.
Maya is outside the temple but not in the temple. That's Maya to think like that, like outside of our little parameter that we've built, that Maya is not there and is everywhere. Like that is Maya to think that. So
It just
that's
seems
why
like,
Maya's so tricky. That we,
yeah,
yeah,
she's slick with it. She's slick with it. She's like coming in all angles. She's not gonna let up too, because that's her job, right? She's a great devotee, right? So she's just like, oh, you think
well,
you got you loose? Boom, here I am again. Boom, here I am again. And then, I think what it Prabhupada said, the last ploy of Maya is, I am God now.
I,
Now I
or
am God.
I am a, or no, I think it's I am a great guru of others,
Oh,
isn't it?
right. Yeah, I'm the man,
So
or
I'm very
whatever. Yeah.
advanced and I'm
I'm so
yeah,
advanced.
and
Yeah.
yeah, and that's yeah, again, that's just so tricky, like because we think everyone else is in Maya, that everyone else is in illusion except us. We still always have that idea that is illusion.
Yeah. Listen, man, we got Jacob's got a message about no fap. Would it be
Yeah.
possible to do hard mode no fap for a year? Of course it's possible, man. You just got to
What's hard
decide
mode
that's
as
what you
well?
want to do. Hard mode means you don't get hard at all, or are you hard for the entire year? Is it possible to be hard for an entire
Maybe it just means you go hard at it, like you
Yeah,
just
yeah.
fully
You
commit,
just
go
don't
hard at
do it.
that.
Yeah. Of course it is, man. That's just your commitment, right? You don't got to ask us that. You already know the answer. The answer is yes. It's possible to do anything that your mind can believe and conceive, you can achieve. So the only what you're asking is it possible for you? Yeah. Right? That's what you're really asking. Is it possible? Yeah. I mean, you just stop masturbating. You make a decision just to stop, you'll stop, right? Like, just stop, right? But we want to make it something more than that, because what I believe you're really asking is it possible for you? Now, it could be possible just to be like, yeah, and be done. But if you've tried that, that's not working for you, then you need to be trained up, meaning you need to retrain your muscle memory. You need to retrain your subconscious mind. You need to retrain all of those impressions that you've got, or that habit. Or so to do that, reach out to me. Send me I see you're on Facebook, so send me a private message. And that's what the Semen Retention Army's for. That's what the training's for, is to help you go hard more to no fap and semen retention. And what we may end up doing is a gradual progression where maybe you don't stop right away, but you begin to practice. And these practices make you feel so good, make you feel so alive, that you'll just slowly over time retrain your body. So sometimes it
Yeah.
takes a little bit longer. So is it possible? Of course it's possible.
But
The,
again,
the,
it's
the question
individual,
isn't
isn't it?
possibility. The question is, how committed are you to it? What are you
And also,
willing to do to be a man, to man up enough to be able to do that? That's the real question.
in my experience as well, it's much more possible when you learn to transmute the energy. Like
100%.
that's when it becomes like, it's basically a side benefit of transmuting the energy is you don't want to masturbate anymore. You just don't even want it. Like, whereas if you're not doing that and you're just like, I'm gonna stop fapping, and you're just trying to a year, it's like it's much
Well,
harder.
because
So
here the focus is still on not doing something, where
yeah, no,
sex transmutation is about using that energy in a positive way, as opposed to, I'm just going to not do something.
yeah.
So
He
hold
said
on.
something
Okay, he
else.
said, yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, because I feel after 3 months no fab hard mode, my moves go. Yeah, that's because you need to learn to retransmute that energy. Your mood goes out of whack because great job on 3 months and such. First of all, congratulations. That's fantastic, And But the mood going out of whack is you need a practice to transmute that energy, to consciously use it. So Jacob, send me a message and, let's jump on a call, because you would be perfect for the army. That's what it's for. You need to learn how to pull that energy up from the lower regions, up into the heart space, up into the brain, circulate that energy so that your mood doesn't go out of whack, but you're positive and you're feeling great. And that's what we're creating inside the army. So let's get into the Gita, man. Let's do a couple verses of the Gita, and then we can wrap up today's.
Man, I got all these little flies on me, man.
That's because you're so attractive.
Got all these little living entities on me, and
they're after that sweet blood.
It's interesting because they're souls, so it's like you don't want to hurt them, but at the same time it's like very hard to avoid because they're so delicate, and there's like literally like loads of them keep coming on me. Gosh.
Yeah, Jacob, you will become a high quality performance person. There's nothing better than sex transmutation. It's the root of our challenges. So when you solve the root of it in the material sense, when you get your sex energy under control, you can see how almost everything else starts to line up for you. Because it's the root of where we go off, right? And we generally do it at a very unconscious level at a very young age. So, all right,
very powerful energy.
You want to start with
text 3,
text 3, and then I can do text maybe like 4 and 5 because those are small ones. We can go. I'll do the tiny ones, and then you can do the big one.
All right, so Pashetam Pandu Putranam Acharya Mahatim Chamam Vyadam Drupada Putrena Tava Shishana Dhimata. O my teacher, behold the great army of the sons of Pandu, so expertly arranged by your intelligent disciple, the son of Drupada. Purport. Duryodhana, a great diplomat, wanted to point out the defects of Dronacharya, the great Brahmana commander-in-chief. Dronacharya had some political quarrel with King Drupada and the father of Draupadi, who was Arjuna's wife. As a result of this quarrel, Drupada performed a great sacrifice by which he received the benediction of having a son who would be able to kill Dronacharya. Dronacharya knew this perfectly well, and yet, as a liberal Brahmana, he did not hesitate to impart all his military secrets when the son of Drupada, Drishtadyumna, was entrusted to him for military education. Now, on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, Drishtadyumna, I've never said that name before, so Drishtadyumna took the side of the Pandavas, and it was he who arranged for their military phalanx. I love the words in these, like just like phalanx and stuff.
Phalanx.
Like
Prabhupada used like his vocabulary was incredible, actually, right?
Yeah.
Like he was extremely intellectual. Because I was like, many words. I was like, I gotta look that up.
I love that. Like so many words to be used and ways to express things. After having learned the art from Dronacharya, Duryodhana pointed out this mistake of Dronacharya's, so that he might be alert and uncompromising in the fighting. By this, he wanted to point out also that he should not be similarly lenient in battle against the Pandavas, who were also Dronacharya's affectionate students. Arjuna especially was his most affectionate and brilliant student. Duryodhana also warned that such leniency in the fight would lead to defeat.
All right, text 4. Atra Sura Mahash Asha Bimarjuna Shama Yudi Yuyudano Viratascha Drupadascha Maharataha. Here in this army are many heroic bowmen equal in fighting to Bhima and Arjun, great fighters like Yuyudana, Virata, and Drupada. Purport. Even though Dhirasdumna was not a very important obstacle in the face of Dronacharya's very great power in the military art, there were many others who were causes of fear. They are mentioned by Duryodhana as great stumbling blocks on the path of victory because each and every one of them was as formidable as Bhima and Arjun. He knew the strength of Bhima and Arjun and thus he compared the others with them. Cool. Should we just keep rolling? Because this next little bit is just quick times, because you're gonna name.
Okay. Jushtakata Chetitana Kashiraja Cha Virvan Van Burujit Purujit Kuntibojas Cha Sab Sabhyascha Nara Pungava. Sometimes I just want to read the English, but anyway. There are also great, heroic, powerful fighters like Ketu, Ketitan, Keshiraj, Purujit, Kuntiboja, and Shabya.
You man, the first time I read the Gita, I just passed by all these names. I was like, this dude, that dude, this dude, that dude.
Even the Sanskrit, to be honest, sometimes because it's very like taxing to read. So sometimes if it's going to put you off reading, better to just read the English.
Sometimes. It's fun to do it, but it's like, if I'm by myself, I generally just read the English version, truthfully. Yudhamanuscha Vikranta Uttamajascha Virayavan Sobhadro Dropadeyascha Sarve Eva Maharataha. They are the mighty Yudhamanu, the very powerful Uttamaja, the son of Subhadra, and the sons of Draupadi. All these warriors are great chariot fighters.
We go on.
Yeah. So we can go down to the end of text 8, let's say.
Yeah.
The
thing is with a lot of the first chapters is setting up. So like until you get to the second chapter, it gets more juicy into like philosophy. The first one is a lot of setting up, just explaining the battle and the names and stuff. So Asmakam tu Vivishtaye tan Nibodha Divitottama Nayaka Mama Sanyasya Sam Ginartam Tan Bravimite. But for your information, O best of the Brahmanas, let me tell you about the captains who are especially qualified to lead my military force.
Bhavan Bhishmascha Karnascha Kirpascha Samitim Jayaha Ashvatama Vikarnascha Somadityas Tatevacha. There are personalities like you, Bhishma, Karna, Kripa, Ashvatthama, Vikarna, and the son of Somadatta, called Buddhishrava, who were always victorious in battle. Purport. Duryodhana mentions the exceptional heroes in the battle, all of whom are ever victorious. Vikarna is the brother of Duryodhana. Ashvatthama is the son of Dronacharya, and Somadati or Buddhishrava is the son of the king of the Balikas. Karna is the half-brother of Arjun, and he was born of Kunti before her marriage with King Pandu. Kripacharya's twin sister married Dronacharya. It's all in the family, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's harder for me to take in all that knowledge. For some reason, direct philosophy I can take in, but like stories and things like that, or like remembering the names and people, like for me it's like harder to remember that stuff. But the more you read the Bhagavad Gita, you kind of understand the story a bit more and the personalities, because it's just so deep. You only can catch a little bit of it when you read it, like each time.
Cool, man. Cool. So anyways, man, that was another cool little discussion on the real householders of Krishna consciousness.
Just quickly, there's one thing I thought when reading that. Just what it just makes me think of as like with the Bhagavad Gita, and when they keep talking about, the Pandavas and the Kauravas setting up against each other, is like how you can have seemingly the same actions but with different intentions, and it gives a completely different result. Like so for example, seemingly they both follow like Vedic culture in ways, like and certain rules, like the Pandavas and the Kauravas, but there's different intention. Like the Pandavas are very noble and their intentions are spiritual, and with the Kauravas they're like trying to you know, manipulate things and trying to. But what's interesting about it is the Kauravas, they have the kingdom, but they're always in anxiety. Like,
Right.
they're always stressed out. There's always problems, and they keep wanting to kill the Pandavas. The Pandavas, whatever happens, that they have to go to the forest. They have to whatever, but they're always like cool. Like they go to the
Yeah.
forest, and everyone follows them there. And it's like we said earlier, expansive, a vibrant community follows them there. Whereas the Kauravas, it's always contracting, like constricting, like because of
Right.
the intention is like that. So it's just very, very interesting that, you know, and they're always so fried out by the Pandavas, like, these guys. Whereas the Pandavas, like, we're cool. Like, where should we go now? Like they're very righteous, and of course, you know what I mean. It's just very, very interesting that, and the war kind of comes about because of all of this, and essentially, you know, Krishna favors the Pandavas because of their intentions. You know?
Well, I think that's too. I think it was like there was an analogy used about like cutting someone. So like you have a knife and I have a knife. I
Yeah.
cut somebody, but my intention is to kill them.
Yeah.
And maybe you somebody's hurt. You have a knife, but your intention is to save them.
Yeah.
Right. So it outwardly, we're doing the exact same thing. We're both cutting somebody with a knife.
Yeah.
But the intention or the energy or the spirit behind it is completely different, which then gives a whole different result. And I know I've experienced that in a very practical ways, like in business, in relationships, and everything. When my intention is of a higher nature, to serve, to help someone, to bring something of quality to the world, then the reciprocation or the results are much different than when I do the exact same action. I know that, like, even just putting videos together, if I'm in a good space, a good mood overall, like, and I'm, you know, like I'm high vibe and I'm putting out videos and I'm putting out content, man, that content hits way harder and yields more results than when I'm thinking about the result and I'm just doing it for my own selfish action, right? Oh, I got to put out a video so I can get a client. And I'm not really thinking about serving guys or serving the people that are listening to this video.
Sometimes it's less, like, but it's quicker as well, those ones. Like, sometimes you spend really so much time on a video or some idea, and you think this is going to be really good, and then it's like doesn't get response. Then one day you just do it one quickly, and it's like everyone loves it. It's like, oh man.
Yeah, I think the big difference is the energy or the attraction, right? The spirit behind it, right? And how attractive it is. So when you're more in Krishna consciousness, and then so therefore your Krishna's at the center of your activity. So you're writing an email or making a song or putting out a video or whatever you're doing it for Krishna. So you're doing it at such a higher quality than you normally do it for yourself, or, you know, if you kind of forget Krishna in those moments, then it has all of that spirit behind it. And that's what makes it really attractive, is that energy. And once you really understand it's an energy game, then you recognize, oh, okay, it's better that I cultivate my energy and that I do things that really continue to expand my energy and keep myself in a good high vibe state. Yeah, man.
For sure.
Anyways, bro, I think that was good, man.
Yeah.
A nice way to start Monday. I like starting these conversations off Monday. By the way, if you're watching this, we do this live every Monday at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And it's just a great way to start the Monday.
My time.
My time, UK. Is that UK time?
Yeah,
is that what they
GMT,
call
I
it?
think it is.
GMT?
Or BST, whatever. I don't care.
Sometime in the world.
Yeah, England time. But yeah, no, it's great. I enjoy it too. It's great to have like-minded association and to talk about Krishna consciousness in this way.
Yeah, man. It's nice to, like I said, just get together with kind of like-minded devotees and chat, and it's a bit informal here, you know. Obviously, it's not like it's like getting something from the philosophy, getting things we can use in our life to further our Krishna consciousness, but without being overly structured or, you know, in that kind of like sort of rigid space.
Well, we're the real householders of Krishna consciousness, and we're living our lives, but also it's important to us, our Krishna consciousness. So it's important to get together and discussing this way with people, yeah, who we can relate to and have these good discussions with. So yeah, I think it's really cool. Just each week reminds me how important my Krishna consciousness is to me, even though I'm out there in the world doing all other stuff.
All other stuff.
Yeah.
All right, man. Let's exit
Cool.
it with this track.
Yeah. Bounce with me now.
Catch us next week.
Catch us next week.
Give us a like. Give us a share.
Give us a subscribe. Yeah.
Subscribe.
Yeah. Tell your friends.
All right, y'all. We'll see you next week.
Yeah.
Haribo.
Haribo.